viewers, welcome back to another episode of Hero to Villain with me, Dr. Benji FM. Let's see then, what are we going to do in this transfer window? It's the 25th of June, and I previewed before, or the very end of last episode, if you caught the very, very end of it, I mentioned the fact there was a takeover bid incoming. Did it happen, viewers? Did it happen? No, it didn't happen. They pulled out. For whatever reason, they didn't fancy it. They didn't want it. So, yeah. On the plus side, though, we've sold a fair amount of players, and we got 40 plus million in parachute payments. So our balance currently looks like that. The parachute payments are bloody ridiculous. Not only that, viewers, things have improved in the fact that all of our players took a wage drop. I say all of them, all but one. You can see from the wages there that Turvest barely took a wage drop, in my opinion. 68,000 for him, so we're still going to try and move him on. But you'll notice maybe a few other players there on the not needed list. Carlos, Berisha and Avest, they're players I'm looking to try and move on out of the squad. And everyone else, if they would like to, can stay. Now, of course, there are, if you're eagle-eyed, you'll notice a few missing players from this list. And of course, with a balance sheet of this, you can assume that we've probably sold a few players. And our transfer budget now sits at 33 million because we only get 35% of all transfer revenue. It's not good. So far, Callum O'Hare has gone to Bristol City for £23 million. A transfer that I think we all expected to happen was on far too much money, in my opinion. It's valued at 11.5 million. So getting 23 million for him, I think after a pretty underwhelming season in the Prem, not too bad. Josh Bowler, the one player that I would really have ideally like to keep around, but has gone off to Burnley. He had a release fee. They met it. Off he goes. I mean, yeah, 27 years of age. Still would have had a part to play. Kelechi Iheanacho, Bristol City back again. 12.75 million. We maybe could have got a little more for Iheanacho, I feel like. But to be honest, getting him off the wage bill and allowing me a little bit more room to manoeuvre in the transfer window was a priority for me. 11 goals in the Premier League last year. Was lethal at Championship level before that. And then I've gone to, staying in the Premier League, it should be said, with Bristol City. So we'll see how he does there for them. And then finally, Zeka. This is the best bit of business, probably. A 31-year-old, non-international capped Portuguese fella. We've got 17 million for him. Bought him for 16.5 from West Brom. Had a pretty good year, but I think to get 17 million at his age for him is not bad business at all. I think we've done pretty well there. And again, it gives us a lot more room to manoeuvre. So £62 million has been brought in. And how much do we have to spend, viewers? Just remind me. Ah, yes, 33.2. There's something not right there, is there? And of course, the big concern this summer is that our owner's looking to leave. A new owner could come in at some point and completely sideswipe me in terms of me trying to actually make transfers if we suddenly can't do it for 2 weeks. We don't have a huge amount of time left. I say that, we have ages left. Well over a month to make some transfers. Yeah, things are looking good in terms of finances. Now, of course, this episode is going to focus on the players that we can get out. I was trying to, at least. The transfer window is open, right? But I'm trying to get rid of everyone I can before July 1st. That is, of course, when player contracts expire and free players come onto the marketplace that probably will look down at a team like us in the Championship and think, do you know what? They've got potential to maybe rise up the division. If you take a look at the Championship table, that is how it looks for this upcoming season. Lincoln in there, Mansfield, of course, teams that we've faced off against with Boston. The Nottingham Derby is in there now, and a lot of familiar names in there too. So yeah, it's going to be a hotly contested, very exciting campaign, I hope. And the season preview at the moment thinks that we will finish fourth. West Brom are the only side not to be relegated in that top four. Look like they could be quite dangerous. And of the relegated sides, we're at the bottom. But I think considering we finished 20th, third in terms of the teams relegated, it does kind of make sense. And we've got one player in the Media Dream 11, which is Tony Wright, who of course is going to be the subject, we suspect, of a few bids. We've had a £33 million bid come in, but that's not enough to take him off my hands. 42 million is his relegation release fee, and I think as a team's already got quite close, we might see a team activate it. Bristol City, Chelsea, Everton, Newcastle, Sheffield United and Southampton, all very interested in getting the services of Tony Wright. And I mean, looking at his attributes, who can blame them? Very, very explosive, 20 years of age. I think he could be a great player in any side, personally, and will be an England international at some point. Hopefully, though, that will be with us. So, back to the team then. What are we going to look to do in this episode? Well, I've already mentioned there's a few players on this not needed list. Avest, Diego Carlos, who's actually already agreed to join Parma for a fee, so that one's not too bad. Berisha hasn't left yet, and is a player I would really like to get out because of his 5 finishing. It just makes me sad to look at. And yeah, Avest, who's an extremely good right back. But we do have to look to move on, right? We do need to try and find a little bit of wiggle room. So we're going to see if we can get some good deals, some good offers for players that aren't really fitting our system right now. And I say system, our wage structure at the moment, as well as some older players that I think we can probably look to move on and see where we go from there. In terms of age, there's quite a few older players here, and you'll notice that Berisha and Carlos, they're two of the players I'm trying to move on, as well as this lad. It's a 33-year-old French player who I think we're probably going to try and move as well. His name's difficult to say. It's Falquier, I think. That's how you'd probably say it. But yeah, I think we should probably try and offer him out as well for around 4.5 million, maybe. I don't expect anyone to offer that, to be honest. But yeah, let's try and move him on. In terms of valuations, there's not too much there that we can do with. Another player, actually, I totally forgot. Because I've had the loans turned off because we couldn't use them. So I had it selected in here if you've never done that before. The hide players option. Wes Harding, Jamaican, has got a couple of years left on his contract. Has been on loan at Besiktas. Doesn't look very good, does he? I mean, let's face it. So a Villa bought him from Norwich. We've then loaned him out to Besiktas, and I'm going to try and sell him for relatively big money. I'll take anything over 6 million, though. I mean, if other clubs are listening, 6 will get it done. So we'll continue forward, and I've gone for one kick them while they're down with Worcester, and then Juventus as a big final game before the start of the season. We've played Sunderland first game, so I want to be ready for that one. System-wise going into next year then, this is what we're looking at using. You can see the defence needs a lot of work, and we may well look at getting a different keeper in instead of Wildsmith, but a right-back, centre-back and left-back seems to be the priority for me, although that said, I say it seems to be the priority. Do not forget, Jack Hurst is he's definitely going to be my left-back next year. Has just had a successful loan spell over at Exeter, had a 7-point-something rating, so had a pretty good consistent year over the course of 40-plus games. So he will be our left-back next year, I think. No matter what happens, he will fit in at that particular spot. Right-back is still a bit of a question mark for us. There's Anth Price, who's a young English player that I don't think is quite ready for Championship level, in my opinion. He's joining Dundee anyway, so I mean, we couldn't play him even if we could, and that is a factor within all of that. So yeah, we'll see if we can maybe... I don't think we're going to make many transfers today. Again, we're going to look for July 1st, maybe highlight a few players that we're going to go after, and then next episode we'll reveal some transfers and talk about how our transfer strategy has gone. But I think this is an episode to highlight how we can get some money, how we can use that money. It's going to be important. And I think deep down, quite a lot of you quite enjoy these sorts of things, as we've had no offers for 4 players. Yeah, this is the life we lead at the moment, viewers. I'm going to ask all of them to speak to clubs. One of them is very happy to do it. Usually you end up getting a bid, usually less than what you'd want originally. But especially what I'm finding actually, viewers, is when you're relegated, it's quite easy to get players to go, yeah, I'll get on the phone. Yeah, not a problem. I'll do that as quickly as you'd need me to. And when you've got players that are sort of happy with their contract and you're doing quite well, they're less likely to be like, no, I want to leave. They're more like, no, I think I'll stay on this massive contract. Whereas, after relegation, they seem a lot more... Oh, I've just seen it. They seem a lot more willing. Wright would like to discuss personal issues. He wants to talk about his need to move to a bigger club, which you do kind of understand. He's only 20, though, Tony Wright. Well, this is the frustrating thing. He's come through the Villa Academy. He's played an awful lot of games for us already. After a decent spell at Hull, he was given a lot of game time. Last year, 9 goals in the Premier League is pretty impressive. Not nearly enough assists for me, it must be said. We'll discuss the issue with him, I guess, because we have to. I'm going to appreciate his honesty and understand his reasons, and I'm going to let him go if a reasonable bid comes in. He thinks that's 25 million. No, my friend. The reasonable bid is your release fee, because that's what you signed when you did the contract, mate. No, not 31 million. I mean, 40 million. How about that? Right. It's not up to you how I conduct my business, so I'm going to leave it before we fall out big time. I'm very cross there, viewers. More cross than I thought I'd be. And whether we get some offers for him, I don't know. Of course, we've already made a shed load of money. We could end up making about 100 million from this transfer window, and I definitely won't spend 100 million as a new Championship team. Financially, I'd like to go up again in decent standing. Everton, though, have come in for Lunnin. Now, Lunnin's got a release fee of 7.5 million and is a player that I expected to let go anyway. Of course, the first choice goalkeeper from last season. I suspect they'll probably accept that. You're going to accept this. I don't know why we're playing this silly little game where we go back and forth over very trivial issues, and you've accepted it. Oh, I mean, of course you have. I mean, why be a part of this? Hang on, it's gone down to 6 million. How has this worked? Our board have been conned by Everton's sneaky, conniving... Oh, unbelievable. I don't know if I've got away with that, to be honest. I thought I had them banged to rights. Right, we're getting closer to July the 1st. What do you make of my sales, though? Good sales? I think there's a couple there that are particularly good. I think Zeka is very, very good. I think O'Hare is really good business as well. To get the money we've got for them, nearly 40 million combined. That's bloody good, in my opinion. And the rebuild is set to be very exciting. I really do think we've got a lot to be excited about, as a few more offers are coming for players. That's what you want to see, as we've got our pre-season meeting coming up as well. Welcome back the squad. Now, I've got one option apparently to say that we're going to win the title. Brilliant. Welcome back, everyone. The board have expected me to get definitely playoffs. I could have set the expectations slightly higher, but I'd like to stay in the job. So I figured if it starts to go badly, then we'll consider that. But you can see here our young Polish attacking midfielder, 24 now, though. He's not as young as maybe he could be, and featured in the Premier League. No, he didn't last year. 3.4 million. We're going to make a loss on him no matter what, but it looks to me as if that's going to be what we end up accepting. We might be able to get a little bit more, actually, if we can maybe get $1 million for him. Are they going to negotiate that? See, here we go. Look, now we're talking. Get rid of these. I'm not interested in these. Let's do 800,000. Call it even. No one has to get hurt, and everyone wins. You know, suggest terms. There you are. Let's see. Friendship. That's how transfer deals are done. We've got a training camp in China as well. I'll also select that. 28 players have gone off for that. And, of course, we're waiting as well for July, because then the players that have been out on loan, or the 30th at least, the players that have been out on loan can come back, and then we can assess the squad a little bit easier because we can see it all in front of us without some of them being available. I've got to make a decision, really. I mentioned it last episode, whether we go for exciting young players, you know, to propel us up this division, or if I go for the more experienced players that can maybe guide us through this division, or, of course, a mix of both. I think to say I'm not going to bring any experienced players of like 30, 31 years of age is probably going to be unlikely. You've seen the videos before, you know what I'm like. Expect a 37-year-old Chilean to arrive at some point. But I do think going for youth players, young players that are coming through, maybe that, again, haven't quite had the break somewhere else, and then we can find these diamonds in the rough, turn them into superstars, and maybe look to sell them on. It's a little bit moneyball in that sense. Not by its truest sense, it must be said. It's not all attribute-based or statistics-based, but there will be players. There's a phrase I like to use, viewers. I've used it on my streams for years, is that it's called value in the market, and that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be looking for value in the market, players that can get us through this one season, bounce back to the Premier League, hopefully, and then propel ourselves from there. That's what we're going to be looking for, as we've signed loads of staff that were already here, as Hull have now made an offer. I can't believe there's so much interest in this guy. I'm going to do 900k, you know? I'm going to see if I can test the waters a little bit. Get rid of all these silly bits of nonsense. I'm not interested. 900k. Oh, I tell you now, the auction for this guy is unreal. It'd be quite nice if I could get Boston as like a feeder club. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Not that their academy produces anybody good, by the way, as all these players here can probably be released. I think all these young players aren't up to scratch yet. We'll release all these guys. You can see as well, contracts set to expire next year. The big two are Sisto and McGinn at 31. They're the ones that we should probably reassess at the end of the year. There's no point in tying either of those guys down. A few prospects as well that we might have to think about considering triggering the extensions for. But all in all, I think contract-wise, we're in a pretty good spot in that the players we want to keep, their contracts aren't up, and everyone else that has got a contract expiring is okay with us. We're not too bothered, really. I should probably be looking for players to sign at the moment, but I think July is a plenty long enough period to get the players that we need. There'll definitely be people saying, look at the free transfers, do this, do that, do that. But this is the way I've always done it, and it tends to work better for me because I know my budget, I know where we need to fill spaces, and I can really focus in and prioritise on those spaces. Once we get to a certain point, once we get to July 1st, the possibility of me selling players, especially players that I don't really want to sell, decreases radically. So hopefully we can use that to our advantage and then know exactly what we want, when we want them, and where we want them to play for us, as there's all sorts going on here. Luton make an offer for Ben Beachy. Was he a player that was at Villa? No, he's a player that I looked at Boston a lot, but now we're cross-platforming players all over the shop. Marazu, it's difficult. I mean, sorry to everyone from Morocco, basically. There's a few offers that have come in, though, of around £2 million. Benfica, I reckon I can get 3 million out of Benfica, you know. I got a feeling here. We'll do a bit of negotiations. He's worth 4.9 in terms of value. 3 million I'll take. 3 million they've accepted. And Norwich, as a league rival, I'm not interested in selling, especially not with a 15,000 a week thing from our end either. That's not happening. A Vest, I've had a bid from Lorient. Now, this is a player, Terravest, we've got to get rid of him. Like, at some point, his wage is massive. I'm being offered out for 20 million. That's not getting any little biters. So we'll go to 16.5. We'll transfer list him. I will take 13, 14 probably, because I think getting off the wage bill is of maximum concern at the moment. You can see a few teams have come in with offers. Watford have gone for 9.25, which isn't enough. It's a small wage contribution, so I'm all for that. We'll go for the asking price, and they've just accepted it outright. Why? What? Oh, you're trying to mug me off. I'm not a fan of that. Bournemouth, right, I'm going to be a lot sterner with you. 16.5, no, 20 million. Accept it now. Suggest terms. They're smart. They're savvy. About 17 million, just a little bit more. They've accepted that. This is ridiculous. Trying to mug me off right now, right here, as Everton get Lunin and a new goalkeeper is now going to be required. He was a decent keeper for Villa, but in a side they get relegated, 4 clean sheets. It's never that impressive, and a small profit made as well. So I mean, money balling. I told you, viewers, it's happening. No, Lunin's got quite a big fee for that transfer, so not so much profit there now. So these are a few things that we've got going on. Sheffield United were the team that came in for Tony Wright. We did got it up to about 33, and then it all sort of broke down, as well as some other offers there. Josh Earl had a loan offer, I think it was, which wasn't really something I would even consider. And Diego Carlos, as mentioned, is off to Parma in a couple of days. And our squad now is looking like this. So slightly different. Goalkeeper, definitely still need one of them. I don't think Keith Horton can be our backup, can he? I mean, with the potential, he probably should be. Maybe we won't get someone else in there. But right back, I mean, this is the way to do it, isn't it? If we take a look at the... where am I? I'm all over the shop here, viewers. I don't know where I am. Squad depth, here we go. Let's have a look then. Position overview. This is what we've got currently. And we're looking at the great column, really. We're seeing how many players we've got who are great in these positions. Now, goalkeeper, concern. Left back, concern. Great on the left side, not so good on the right, and only one great striker. And the core, our midfield, could probably do with a little bit of improvement as well. That said, when it comes to potential, everything looks to improve a little bit. Some really great strikers in the squad, and suddenly it looks to fill out a little bit. But midfield, for me, central midfield might be the key area that we sign some players in. So Joe Allen, if you're available, I think he was in his last year at Boston. I might have to time down. It's interesting that Keith Horton is set to be a very, very good goalkeeper, apparently. We don't really know how good, though. And with 10 handling at 21 years of age, I wouldn't ever risk him in the team right now. But 3 potentially great strikers. They do include Tony Wright in that and Joe Adkins. I'm not convinced by that, to be honest. So I think in terms of areas to recruit, in terms of maximum importance, definitely another striker, top-notch striker required. Right side, I really want to bring someone in who's exciting and quite explosive. Centre-back definitely needs some work as well, because at the moment we've got 2 great centre-backs. And, guess what? I mean, Neves's probably going to leave. The fact he's counting in that, he's got to go. Goalkeeper, we'll consider. I mean, that pre-season might determine that a little bit. And everywhere else looks all right. I think maybe this area here, though, defensively, centrally, and attacking midfield-wise, that's where we need to get some depth in. And, of course, on that left side, Tony Wright might need to replace him at some point as well. That is the one player that is out of my control. He could be taken off me at any point. Could be deadline day, which would absolutely suck. And that'll probably be where we come to next episode, the final 5 days or so of the window. So lots of exciting things happening here at Villa. Lots of potential for us to bring in and transfer and see what we can do with the players at our disposal. We've got money to spend. We've got players leaving. We'll go forward one more day just to see what happens. But I just wanted to give you a transfer update. Rather than doing it as like one long stream, I thought I'd split it into 2 separate episodes. There will be an episode tomorrow. I know it's a Saturday, but there'll still be an episode. So more Hero to Villain coming for you, or coming to you, and hopefully you're looking forward to it. If you are enjoying the videos, of course, do drop a like on it and leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'll be reading through before I make any more decisions. So we love with care. From me, it's Benjamin. Until next time, goodbye. Look after yourselves. And for those that want to miss the video that I did earlier today, we looked at the world that we're in right now in 2026 and looked at the other teams around the world, Europe and etc., to see how things are getting on there. So if you've missed that, there's a link in the description, or just go to my channel. You'll find it on there somewhere. Goodbye. Did I breathe? Did I take a pause in this episode? I'm not sure I did.